you could feel it out in the streets, walking around. The community loss was something that was almost tangible, and especially if you went down to the wharf. That's, the fishermen still, they went about their business, they continued to fish, but there was a layer of sadness for a long time.
The stories that follow are just a few of so many that could be told, of Provincetown fishermen who went to sea and never came home.
I'm Darlene McCara, the wife of Kenneth R. McCara II. He had the boat, the Victory II, which was lost at sea in 1984. Well, I met my husband in a bar in Provincetown, and I was from Chatham. So my friend and I went to Provincetown, and he was standing by the wall, and he came over to us, and he looked right at her, and he says to her, "I'm going to marry her," and he pointed to me. One time I was in bed and he was out fishing, and it was early in the morning, and I woke up in a nightmare, just out of bed, and I felt like something was happening with the boat.
Tragically, that dream became a premonition when a few days later, the Victory II was reported missing.
We only had one car, so I would drop him off in the morning to go fishing, and then I would come and pick him up. So we were driving down the pier to go pick him up, and I see all these fishermen walking down the pier, and they're looking at me like, I'm like to my sister-in-law, why are they staring at me? And I get down to the wharf, and then my father-in-law tells me that the boat is missing and they haven't heard from him all day long. So that's when I knew something was wrong.
Ken was 28 years old. He was the most honest and forward-thinking man. He was so young, and yet he had life insurance, and he owned a home and had really established himself. And he went without a lot of things. They didn't get a new car. I remember we used to take the laundry to the laundromat to dry it because Ken would not buy a dryer. They were always fixing the car because he was saving for the future. He was very, very concerned about the future and his family. And then at 28, he was gone.
The community all came together, and there was a big gathering, and there was over 600 people at the church for the funeral service. And there was standing room only line out the church. It was a very sad day.
Joe Andrew was talking to me about when he was a child, he remembers going to church, and the front rows in St. Peter's would just be all widows and their, in their families, and those rows were reserved for them. That's where they sat, and Joe was like, it was such a moving thing to see that they all got together on Sunday to support each other, even years later.
I'll never forget that day. He was lost, so it wasn't like we knew right away. It was a matter of them searching for him overnight.
my children, my daughter was 6 and my son was 4, so I was a single mother, and but I had a lot of help from my in-laws and my family with helping me with my children, and it was very hard. Every time the May 1st comes up, because that was the day, I get very emotional. Yeah. Even though it's been since years, 40 years.
That's my grandfather Joseph. He was, in the spring, they were down off of Martha's Vineyard going for mackerel. They were chasing mackerel. I believe they were gone almost 6 months chasing mackerel. And they got caught in a bad breeze, and they ended up getting lost, and another Provincetown family was trying to help them, and he ended up losing his son, 17-year-old Clarence Phillips.
On a fishing boat, you tend to learn a lot more than fishing.
Oh, you learn about life. You know, good times, bad times, a lot of bad times. You hear about the big weeks, you don't hear about the bad weeks, you know. You learn about loss, heartache, and everything that goes with it.
Our history is so deep, and we haven't even scratched the surface. My name is Lisa King, and I am the daughter of Captain Billy King of the Patricia Marie, which sank on October 24th, 1976. When I was little, my dad used to take us, me and my brother Timmy. My brother Willis was not born yet. And he used to take us to the boat when they'd be tied up and doing gear work on the wharf. And, you know, kids were down there with their dads. We'd all play, and it was our playground, the decks. The boats would be like 4, 5, 6 deep. And we'd just be jumping from deck to deck, climbing the nets. And, and back then it was like everybody watched out for everybody's kid. And it was very much a village. I remember the crew coming over and eating dinner. And it was just such a almost family atmosphere.
Everybody everybody knew everybody. Everybody, would be in the surf club with the old colony and having a few drinks, and it was just a great time. Everybody was making money. That was the heyday, the 70s, with the scallops. Everybody was making money. They had people on shore where the boats would come in loaded with scallops, and people would go aboard the boat. Everybody was making money and doing well.
It happened very early in the morning. I woke up, it was about 4 in the morning. I woke up and I heard voices, and I came downstairs, and my aunts and uncles were there, and they were all listening to the radio, and they didn't really say what was going on, but we could tell everybody was upset. I was 10, and not stupid. But we went to school, we walked to school, and later that morning, Madonna Tasha came to our classrooms, me and my brothers, and took us out of school, which is something that never happened. We were never allowed to miss school. And we came home, and they told us what had happened, but it didn't really register. And I don't know, sometimes reality's really hard. But I used to sit a lot in the West End parking lot and just watch for his boat to come around the point. And I knew the set of the aft mast in the pilot house, so I could tell his boat from a mile away.
Well, it takes the heart out of you, and the hard part was it took so long to find everybody, you know, or the Patricia Marie, and some were never found, and then when everything is said and done, everybody has to get back to work, you know.
My dad, he was a jovial man. He was a good man. He was always joking, and everybody liked him. And he was good to his crew. He took care of them. It happened so quick.
Anything can happen on the water, and you can speculate to why all these boats were lost and everything, but the bottom line is everything happens so fast that something that you might have been doing for years and years goes bad, and everything goes bad, you know, and you don't have time to really react.
I think for Provincetown and Truro, they share a sort of phenomena, a community grieving. When something happens on the water, it seems to multiply that grief. And I think it's because everybody in these small towns, they're either related, married to, or they know the people that are lost. That community grieving that we experience when a boat goes down in these towns, it really helps the people get through it.
So like a mix of generations, the older generations and the younger generations. Like I can remember Billy King and Ernie Cadero and all the guys lost on Patricia Marie. Dickie Oldenquist grew up in the East End. It's just tough, you know. When you lose those guys, they can never be replaced.
It's a high pressure, high stress job. And these guys keep going out. They've lost their fathers, they've lost their friends, their cousins, their brothers, and they still go out, and it's because they have salt in their veins.
They had to. They had to make a living for their families. A lot of the old timers, they were here from Portugal looking for a better life, and they had to work. They had no choice. You know, it's just, that's the bottom line, making a living for your family.
I think that if he was going to go in any way, this is the way he would want to go, because he just loved being out there.
But even to this day, I never forget the 24th of October.